All right, so is there anything that you might want to say before we wrap this up?
I think on the most part, for the most part, the doctors were really good, and they were conscientious about coming out. They would come out in the middle of the night, you know, to see a patient, and I never had a problem with any of them, with the exception of that Dr. Patel.
Okay.
Some were, we had patients that were doctors. Some were psychiatrists. Some, you know, we had from every walk of life.
Huh.
This one particular doctor, I remember, they found him in San Francisco, and he was just walking around in a daze, and he had like $150,000 in his pocket. Just, you know, he didn't know where he was.
A doctor?
A doctor. I can't remember his name.
And he was from Stockton Mental Hospital?
Yeah.
Huh.
And, I mean, there's a very thin line between sanity and insanity. Yeah. There is.
Yeah.
So sometimes they go over, but I've seen brilliant people that just went over the...
Oh yeah, well look at Albert Einstein.
Oh yeah, he was dingy as a, I don't know what. My first partner in horses had gone to Princeton, and he had Albert Einstein for a patient. I mean, for a patient. Boy.
For a teacher?
For a teacher. And
wow.
He said he was crazy as a loon. So, but he was brilliant. He was a brilliant loon.
Well, I think a lot of them are.
Yeah.
So, Joyce, is there anything you would like to ask or say before we wrap it up with Delores?
Hi, Delores. And you also say here that there was also psychiatrists that went over the edge and ended up at Stockton State. They were...
Some did. There were psychiatrists, there was nurses, there was concert pianists, every walk of life, just about.
Mm-hmm. If you had it to do over again, would you work at Stockton State Mental Hospital?
Well, yeah,
knowing what you know now?
I think I learned a lot. I think I became a lot more compassionate because of it.
Would you have changed anything if you were in administration?
Oh yeah, I would have changed a lot of things.
Like what would be your main focus, your number one priority?
My number one priority would be the patients. I don't know how you could get better care, but I would try to find a way.
Sounds like you did your part to give them the best care you could give them, but as a whole, you know, it was the first mental hospital in the western United States, so I'm sure that they learned a lot as a hospital there, but it sounds like there were a few people that made it not as...
Most of the people that I worked with were compassionate, and some should not have been working there, but for the most part, they were good people.
And do you say that because you don't believe that they were compassionate toward the patients, and that's why they shouldn't have worked there?
Yeah, some of them were not. They were just there because it was a job, and it was good. The pay was good, and you know, their major thing was to get off work fast. You know, not get through the shift and
get out of there, huh?
Yeah.
At the time that you worked there, how many cemeteries were on the grounds?
I have no idea about that.
Okay.
I don't.
You never saw any cemeteries?
Mm-mm. No.
Delores, from our experience of meeting these last couple of visits, and knowing my story and me hearing your story, and hearing that my mother has never been able to be found and no relatives were ever notified, and with these 30 bodies, and it could be up to 70, that they found on the grounds of the old Stockton State Mental Hospital grounds with skeletons intact, arms and legs and everything. Mm-hmm. If this was your mother and you were walking this journey in my shoes, what would your determination be, or what would your gut feelings tell you happened to her? And she doesn't show up on the Social Security rolls as receiving benefits and not on the nationwide death index. And you run her social and it comes up no trace. It's like her Social Security number has no activity at all. What would you think, or how would you feel?
Well, I would probably feel that she had died.
Where?
At the hospital.
I want to thank you for your honesty, and that's personally how I feel, and I've learned right now to accept that, but I feel that, someone should be accountable.
Oh, yes, I believe so, too. Everybody should be accountable.
And you just need closure, so that's the main thing.
I'm not like closure for myself and the other people's, who have relatives that may be missing. And that's one of my goals, is to try to make, enough public appearances so they, maybe get in touch with myself or Tammy Davison, my investigator. But I sincerely respect you, and thank you for your total honesty and compassion in regards to this.
I wish I could do more.
I think you've done a lot.
I just happened to think of another thing. Have you ever had anybody contact you, or have you heard of anybody else that's looking for their family members?
No.
Okay.
I just happened to read the paper that day. I don't usually read that part of the paper, but it was the page after the local and TV thing. So I was glancing through that, and I just saw it, and I thought,
The personals?
Yeah. Actually, it wasn't in the personals. It was like more of the jobs. That particular paper. But I just turned the page, and it just came at me, so I read it.
Wow, must have been one of those God encounters.
I wouldn't doubt it a bit. I think God works in mysterious ways, and He did put you in places that you didn't want to be, but you are.
Or that you never thought you'd be.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you so much for taking time away from your schedule and to meet with us twice now.
Well, if I
And
can help, I'm willing.
well, you've helped a lot, so we really appreciate it. And
Okay.
thank you for your time. And this is Davidson, Double Edge Investigation, signing off.